Nefesh that we made a while back, and it's a good chance to do it now. And to take the chance that we are in, take the chance that we are back in Zoom to watch some more of our videos. The words in 126, and the video will be screened in a second. Hello, Andrew Key from the UK, from your hotel room in the UK.
Hello.
Ready.
Yep, suitably locked up. But we're fine.
Okay.
And in fact, Shabbos comes in exactly now in the UK, 4 o'clock or 3:30.
So Shabbat comes now. Okay, I hear you. I hear you. Russell, can you put the Nefesh?
Yeah, it's coming.
Good Shabbos, Rabbi.
Good
Naomi.
Shabbos. Hello, Naomi. Thanks for
Shabbos,
being
everybody.
your sisters. Good Shabbos, everyone.
Yedid nefesh avarachamon meshochav eretzonecha Yedid nefesh avarachamon meshochav eretzonecha yarotz avdecha kemoya yishtachavenu hadarecha yeravlo yedidutecha minofetzuv v'chotam da-da-da-da-da-da da-da-da-da-da-da Yedid nefesh avarachamon meshochav eretzonecha Yedid nefesh avarachamon meshochav eretzonecha yarotz avdecha kemoya yishtachavenu hadarecha yeravlo yedidutecha minofetzuv v'chotam da-da-da-da-da-da da-da-da-da-da-da
Thank you for that. It's good to remember. And with that, we're moving to Maureen, who will lead us into the Shabbat with lighting the candles. We're on page 118. Maureen, to you. And Rory will sing the blessing once Maureen is done saying it. Good. But Maureen, you're still unmuted. Please unmute yourself and start from the beginning.
Okay.
Now, okay. Yeah.
O source of light and truth, creator of the eternal law of goodness, help us to find knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take the words we shall speak into our hearts and our lives. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvot v'tzva'an lahadlik shel Shabbat.
Amen.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen. Thank you, Marie. Thank you, Ori. Today, thank you. Today, the lay reader that shares the leading of the service with me is Leonard Zinger, and thanks for doing it with me. Leonard will do the Kabbalat Shabbat and the Baruch Shema units. So to you, Leonard, and I will take back again in Amidah.
Thank you, Rabbi. Shabbat Shalom. Can we please turn to page 125? Where has this week vanished? Is it lost forever? Will I ever recover anything from it? The joy of life, the unexpected victory, the realized hope, the task accomplished. Will I ever be able to banish the memory of pain, the sting of defeat, the heaviness of boredom? On this day, let me keep for a while what must drift away. On this day, let me be free of the burdens that must return. On this day, Shabbat abide. Help me to withdraw for a while from the flight of time. Contain the retreat of the hours and the days from the grasp of frantic life. Let me learn to pause, if only for this day. Let me find peace on this day. Let me enter into a quiet world this day. On this day, Shabbat abides. And we move to page 130. And Jess, could you please lead Lechuna Ranana?
Lechuna ranana, ladonai, lechuna ranana, ladonai, 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 naharia letzor yeshenu, naharia letzor yeshenu, 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 nekad mafana betoda, nekad mafana betoda, 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 bizmirot narialo, bizmirot narialo, bizmirot narialo, bizmirot narialo, narialo.
Thanks, Jess. Please move to page 132 at the top. Sing to God a new song. Sing to God all the earth. Sing to God, bless God's name. Proclaim God's victory day after day. Tell of God's glory among the nations, God's wondrous deeds among all peoples. For the Eternal One is great and much admired and much acclaimed. God is held in awe by all divine beings. All the gods of the people are mere idols, but the Eternal One made the heavens. Glory and majesty are before God. Strength and splendor are in God's temple. Let the heavens rejoice and the earth exult. Let the sea and all within it thunder. The fields and everything in them exult. Then shall all the trees of the forest shout for joy at the presence of the Eternal One. For God is coming. For God is coming to rule the earth. God will rule the world justly and its people in faithfulness. Rory or Zaruach, please.
Or Zarua la tzadik ul yishrelev simcha. Or Zarua la tzadik ul yishrelev simcha. Or Zarua la tzadik ul yishrelev simcha. Ul yishrelev simcha. Or Zarua la tzadik ul yishrelev simcha. Will Yisrael simcha la 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 la.
At the top of page 134. Ariyu ladonai kol haaretz, pitchu beranu bezamru. Zamru ladonai bechino v'kol zemra, b'chat sarot v'kol shofar. Ariyu lifnei hamelech Adonai. Yiram hayam umalo tevel v'yoshvei ba. Naharot Yimcha Chaf Yachad Harim Yerananu Lifnei Adonai Kiva Lishpot Haaretz V'yishpot Tevel Betzedek V'hamim B'mei Sha'arim. And please now move to page 135, Jess with Romamu.
רוממו אדוני אלוהינו והשתחוו להקודשו. רוממו אדוני אלוהינו והשתחוו להקודשו. כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו רוממו. קדוש אדוני אלוהינו רוממו.
Please turn to page 136. Psalm 29. Mizmor LaDavid. Havu l'Adonai b'nei Elim. Havu l'Adonai kavod va'oz. Havu l'Adonai kavod shmo. Hishtachavu l'Adonai b'charat kodesh. Kol Adonai al hamayim. El hakavod hirim. Adonai al mayim rabim. Kol Adonai b'koach. Kol Adonai b'chedar. Kol Adonai shever arazim. V'yashber Adonai et arzei halevanon. V'rakidem kamo egel. Lebanon v'Sirion kamo ben roamim. And before we move to the Lachadodi, Rabbi will step in, please.
Friends, today is the 10th of December, and all over the world, people are commemorating, celebrating the Human Rights Day, because this is the day when the International Declaration of Human Rights was accepted back in 1948. 1948 under the great pressure of World War II and the Holocaust. And the document itself, which is held in awe and one of the most translated and recited documents, Declaration on the Rights of the Human Rights, was composed by a Jewish juristic, French, René Cassin. René Cassin was greatly pushed and funded by Eleanor Roosevelt, who said we should start human rights here at home and here close to us. Otherwise, we will not expect the big systems to work if we are not applying it here in the school and in the neighborhood. So that's the intention that I want to take to today, to add our vibe, and to join to that frequency, like many others today, that reflecting on that notion of the long and ancient struggle for human liberty and dignity. And we Jews have always been partaking on that. So with that intention to human rights, last week we looked at anti-corruption, today with human rights, with deep intention to respect to all of us who share this space. Let us take a deep breath in and a deep breath out, and let space for the Shabbat to come into us and to fill us with this vibration and with spirit.
Thank you, Rebbe, and to you, Rory.
Lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekavela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekavela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, hishmi'anu el hamiuchad, Adonai echad u'shemo echad. L'shimo tiferet litila, lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela, lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela, likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, ki makor habracha, Merosh mikedem nesucha, sof maaseh v'machshava tchila. Lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Hitoreri, Iva orech kumi uri shir daberi, kevod Adonai alach nigla. Lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Boi v'shalom ateret bala, gam b'simcha u'v'tzola, toch emunei am segula, boi chala, lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela, lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela.
Thanks, Rory. Please be seated, and could we move now to page 140, Mizmor Shir, Psalm 92. Mizmor Shir liyom HaShabbat, tov lahodot l'Adonai, ulezamer l'shimcha elyon, lahagid baboker chasdecha, ve'emunatecha balailot, alei asor v'alei navel, alei higayon b'chino, ki simantani Adonai b'foalecha, b'maaseh yadecha aranein, ma gadlu maasecha Adonai, ma'od amku mechot Shvotecha, איש באה לא ידע, וכסיל לא יבין את זאת. Jess, Sadiq, please.
Tzadik katamar yifrach yifrach, tzadik katamar yifrach, keres bavanon yizge, keres bavanon yizge, keres bavanon yizge yizge, keres bavanon yizge, keres bavanon yizge, keres bavanon yizge yizge. Shtulim bevet Adonai, shtulim bevet Adonai, bechatzrot Eloheinu, bechatzrot Eloheinu, bechatzrot Eloheinu, yafrichu, bechatzrot Eloheinu, bechatzrot Eloheinu, bechatzrot Eloheinu, yafrichu. Od yenuvon beseva, od yenuvon beseva, deshenim verananim, deshenim verananim, deshenim verananim, iu, deshenim verananim, deshenim verananim, deshenim verananim, iu. להגיד כי ישר אדוני, להגיד כי ישר אדוני, צורי ולא עוולת בו, 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 צורי ולא עוולת בו.
Thank you. The righteous bloom like a date palm. They thrive like a cedar in Lebanon, planted in the Eternal One's house. They flourish in our God's courts. In old age, they still produce fruit. They are full of sap and freshness, attesting that God is upright, my rock in whom there is no wrong. And moving to page 141, Psalm 93. The eternal God is sovereign. God is robed in grandeur. God is robed. God is girded with strength. The world stands firm. It cannot be shaken. Your throne stands firm from old. From eternity you have existed. The oceans sound, O God. The ocean sounds its thunder. The ocean sounds its pounding. Above the thunder of the mighty waters, more majestic than the breakers of the sea, is the Eternal One, majestic on high. Your decrees are indeed enduring. Holiness befits your house, O God, for all times. And now Rory will lead us with the Chatzi Kaddish on page 144, and please rise if you're able.
יתקדש ויתקדש מרבה, אמן. ויאמר יברח חירותי וימלך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון, ובחיי דכל בית ישראל. וגלה בזמן קריב, ואמרו אמן. יש מרבה מבורך, לעולם ולעולמי עלמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתהלל ויתהלל שמי דקודשא בריחו לילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דמירן ועולמה ואמרו אמן.
On page 145. Teach me, O God, a blessing, a prayer on the mystery of a withered leaf, on ripened fruit so fair, on the freedom to see, to sense, to breathe, to know, to hope, to despair. Teach my lips a blessing, a hymn of praise, as each morning and night you renew your days. Lest my day be today as the one before, lest my routine set my ways. And now to the Baruch Hu on page 146. Jess, please. Thank you, Jess. And now for Mariv Aravim, we're going to cut to Tilla and Brian from Beit Luria, Rabbi Julia's show. Russell, please.
We're going to bring in the darkness here with Mariv Aravim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bidbaro ma'ariv aravim bechokma poteach she'arim uvetvona meshane ומחליף את הזמנים ומסדר את הכל קרבים במשמרותיהם ברקיע כרצונו בורא יום ולילה כל חושך וחושך
קיים תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני המריבה רבי. מריבה רבי.
Ever-living God, may you reign over us in eternity. Blessed are you, Eternal One, who brings on the evening. And on page 149, this is an hour of change. Within it we stand uncertain on the border of light. Shall we draw back or cross over? Where shall our hearts turn? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? This is the hour of change, and within it we stand quietly on the border of light. What lies before us? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? Baruch atah Adonai, Amarim Arabim. And on page 150, Rory, over to you, please. Ahavat Olam.
אהבת עולם, בית ישראל, עמך תורה ומצוות, חוקים ומשפטים, אותנו מדדת, על כן אדוני אלוהינו בשוכנו, קומנו נשיח בחוקיך, ונשמח בדברי תורתך, ומצוותיך לעולם ועד. כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו, ובהם נגה יומם ולילה, נגה יומם ולילה. ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל.
As you taught Torah to those whose names I bear, teach me Torah too. Its mystery beckons, yet I struggle with its truth. You meant Torah for me? Did you mean the struggle for me too? Don't let me struggle alone. Help me to understand, to be wise, to listen, to know. Lead me into the mystery. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. And now the Shema on page 152, and over to Jess, please.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Echad.
Adonai Elohecha, b'chol levavecha, b'chol nafshecha, b'chol moedecha, v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele, asher anochi metzavecha hayom al levavecha, v'shinantam levanecha, v'dibarta bam, v'shivtecha v'veitecha, v'lechtecha b'derech, v'shachbecha kumecha, וכשבתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך, ובישעריך. And on page 155, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיו, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם, אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים, אני אדוני אלוהיכם באמת, אדוני אלוהיכם באמת. And now to page 157. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, this is one God in heaven and earth. The high heavens declare your glory. May earth reveal your justice and love. From bondage in Egypt we were delivered. At Sinai we bound ourselves to your way, inspired by prophets and instructed by sages. Time and time again we overcome oppressive forces. Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed. Let us continue to work for the day when the nations shall be one and at peace. Then we shall rejoice as Israel did, singing on the shores of the sea. Mi chamocha, Jess, please, 158.
מי כמוך באלם אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש. נורא תהילות אוסף אליו, נורא תהילות אוסף אליו. מלכותך ראו בניך, היום לפני משה ומרים, זה לי ענו ויאמרו, מי כמוך באלם אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש. נורא תהילות אוסף אליו, נורא תהילות אוסף אליו.
Turning to page 159. Where will I find you if not in the shelves of the heart, in the cupboards of my bones, on the spiraling stairways of my fingertips? Where will I find you if not in the light that gathers us, each morning in its golden net, or in the light of the Shabbat candles? Sturdy as the columns of your house. Each day I'm called to recreate your house with everything at my disposal. A never-ending stairway of righteousness, cupboards full of good deeds, shelf upon shelf of loving kindness. And Rory on page 160, please, with Ashkibain.
ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך, ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך, ברוך אתה אדוני הפורס Sukkot Shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim ufros aleinu Sukkot Shlomecha ufros aleinu Sukkot Shlomecha Baruch atah Adonai haporei Sukkot Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim ve'al Yerushalayim ve'al Yerushalayim. Amen.
For you, God, watch over us and deliver us. For you, God, are gracious and merciful. God, our going and our coming, to life and to peace evermore. Blessed are you, Eternal One, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people Israel, and over Jerusalem. And now to Jess for Shamru, please, page 162.
ושמעו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, בני ישראל, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
We are a people in whom the past endures, in whom the present is inconceivable without moments gone by. The Exodus lasted a moment enduring forever. What happened once upon a time happens all the time. And now I hand over to Rabbi Sa'ar for the Amidah.
Thank you, Leonard. That was beautiful. Thank you. 162, please join me. Adonai שפתי תפתח ופי אגיד תהילתך. Eternal God, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. 166. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו ואמותינו, אלוהי אברהם, אלוהי יצחק ואלוהי יעקב, אלוהי שרה, אלוהי רבקה, אלוהי רחל ואלוהי לאה, האל הגדול הגיבור והנורא, האל עליון גומל חסדים טובים וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואמות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם למען שמו באהבה, מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה, אמן. 168. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיה מתים אתה רב להושיע, משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מזריח השמש ומוריד הטל, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיה מתים ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופך הורגים ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לישני עפר, מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישוע, ונאמנת לחיות מתים, ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיה המתים, אמן. 170. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלע, ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש. 172. In the middle, you set aside the seventh day for your name, the pinnacle of creation, and you blessed it above all other days, most sacred in all festival times. So it is written in your Torah, the heaven and the earth were finished, vayechulu hashamayim ve'haaretz. 172 in the middle, the Hebrew Rory.
ויחולו השמיים והארץ וכל צבאם, ויחל אלוהים ביום השביעי מלאכתו אשר עשה, וישפוט ביום השביעי מכל מלאכתו אשר עשה, ויברך אלוהים את יום השביעי ויקדש אותו, כי בו שבת מכל מלאכתו אשר ברא אלוהים לעשות.
Thank you. 173 at the top. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. May this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh Shabbat. 175. והצא אדוני אלוהינו בעמך ישראל, ותפילתם באהבה תקבל, ותהי לרצון תמיד עבודת ישראל עמך, ברוך אתה אדוני, שותך לבדך ויראת. 176 מודים אנחנו לך.
מודים אנחנו לך שאתה הוא אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו ואימותינו לעולם ועד. צור חיינו מגן ישנו, צור חיינו מגן ישנו, אתה הוא לדור ודור, לדור ודור. נודה לך ונספר תהילתך, על חיינו המסורים בידיך, ועל נשמותינו הפקודות לך, ועל ניסיך שבכל יום עמנו, ועל נפלותיך וטובותיך שבכל עת, ערב ובוקר וצהריים.
Blessed are you, Eternal One. Your name is goodness, and you're worthy of thanksgiving. Last blessing on the sequence, Shalom Rav, everlasting love, abundant peace, 178.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael, Amcha tasim leolam, ki ata melech Adon lechol hashalom. V'tov b'einecha levarech et amcha Yisrael b'chol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך Baruch atah Adonai Hamavarech et amo Yisrael Shalom. Amen.
Thank you. I'm reading in 179 at the top. Grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace, and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country as a safeguard of peace, its advocate among the nations. May contentment reign within our borders, health and happiness within our homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship among all the inhabitants of every land. Plant virtue in every soul, and may the love of your name hallow every home and every heart. Praised are you, Eternal One, who blesses our people with peace. Let's take another minute of silent meditation. It's the end of this Amidah, and focus in what we're asking from Hashem. Say, make me an instrument of thy peace, God. Help us be a vehicle for peace in this world, and help us strengthen one another. We should lift each other up. A moment of silent meditation, and then Jessica will collect us with Iyu L'Ratzon. May the words of our mouth and the meditation of our heart will be accepted to you, God, our rock and our deliverer. Thanks for that, Jess. Thanks for that. So friends, we're going to sing the Mishaberach now, and we're going to do it via the video. So you could hear the four choristers singing for us the Mishaberach. And we are here 53 computers, which makes it 60 something people, maybe even 70 people, I'm not counting. So as said, we are here to lift each other up and to hold each other in our thoughts. And those of us who need assistance in our thought and hope and love for renewal of body and renewal of spirit, and that we do it. So I'm inviting you to say names loud or quiet or in heart or in the chat, other than the people that are mentioned in the bulletin: Graham Hochchild, Liba Keln, Muir Lawrence, Barry Levine, and Sybil Silverman. Who else do we acknowledge? Who else do we keep in our thoughts, in our mind, in our heart? Please mention names. And then we'll watch together the Mishaberach. Please.
Melvin Singer, Donna Bensky.
Estelle Katz, Steve Hochfeld,
Barbara Ladman,
Chanel Davids,
To all our dear ones, to all our dear ones. Can we have the video? Thank you. I'm glad we've done these videos, huh? May those who sow into it will reap in joy. Shabbat Shalom, Chaverim. Shabbat Shalom, greetings and salutations. Welcome. Thanks for being with us. These are minutes of the end of the year, and around us in Beit Emanuel, we are winding down, and I invite you to stay with us in 2022. We are going to say where do we need volunteers and for what things are we asking for you, and we'd like you to come and express yourself in our different teams that work and do things for the benefit of the whole community. That's one message I wanted to start with. The second thing is that in this sermon, I'm going to start with the contemporary matters, then to give some example how Judaism relates to it, and then I'm going to end with the weekly parasha. Now that sometimes people find it hard to follow where I'm going, so I'm telling you in advance where I'm going. And the contemporary matter I'd like to discuss today is the Shell business, the Shell survey and energy which was found, and the survey which is being held and its potential damages. If you haven't been around in South Africa in the last weeks, that is the main thing that is discussed in the social networks and in the news. And as there is here from one side a big business endeavor which holds a lot of money, and from the other side honest danger to the wild coast and all the creatures who live it. And as said truthfully, at current phase of our development, the coast and the vegetation and the animals don't have legal rights and don't have a voice, we thus have to be the voice for them and to express their views. And the least that I can do on my ability, the least is to bring some of what Jewish tradition has to say in this regard. Some of it is the law and the proverb, and some of it is the halacha, the law. There is some of it in the law and some of it in the law. Because the halacha, the Jewish law, has something to say about anything in the world. There is nothing which is not under the kind of jurisdiction of halacha. Halacha is in a position to make a statement about any matters with regard to the ethics of halacha and how things should manage. Now, such a case with such minerals and so on, you cannot find, because that was never under the jurisdiction of the halacha. But cases with similar principle you can find, and I'm going to bring to you some of those cases which I find similarities on the principle, when the question is how to balance and how to protect between the private and the public. What is private, what is public, and the main term that Judaism uses is Reshut Harabim. Reshut Harabim. Reshut is the authority, the domain, and Harabim is of the plural, of the many, the public space, the public sphere. So when we are coming and we need to adjudicate and we need to make a balance and make a verdict, what belongs to the individual and what belongs to the many, then Judaism has a lot of what to say in this regard in different realms of the traditional Jewish law. So, for example, there is a limitation to what you can or cannot do. Even within your own field, there is a limitation to what you can and cannot do. But even further, when it comes to the public domain, let me give you one example. Bava Kama, page 50, folio B. The sages said a person should never throw stones from his property into the public domain. Okay, you are now cleaning your field. You cannot just throw it to the public domain, to the path, when later on wagons and peoples and donkeys need to pass. You cannot destroy and disuse the public domain. Then there is a piece of law. I told you the law and the law coming together, mainly in the Talmud. An incident occurred one. A certain individual who was throwing stones from his field to the public domain. A master sage found him and told him, hey, why do you do this? For what reason are you throwing stone from this property? This property is not even yours, and you're throwing it to the property which is yours. He said, this property is not even yours, and you're throwing it to the property which is yours. And the man mocked him and said, no, I'm the landlord. This is my land, and I'll do whatever I want in that. Years later, he lost his money, and he had to sell his field from which he had thrown the stones. And then he was walking on the same public domain, looking at his old field in his property that he had to sell, and say, now, and he stumbled upon the same stones, and he stumbled upon the same stone that he threw up when he was cleaning the field. And he says, now I understand what that master sage say. Why are you throwing stone from property that is not yours into the property which is yours? Since now the field no longer belongs to me, only the public domain remains mine to use. So here's the lesson. The money can come and the money can go. Those who have money today might not have the money tomorrow, but the damage to the public domain, the damage to the public sphere is done, and one has to deal with it, to take responsibility on that. So the basic attitude of Judaism on that regard is do not make a damage to the public domain. Do not interrupt it. Do not misuse it, and do not allow it to be deteriorated. Okay. Case number 2. Now we're looking on balancing between different principle that needs to be done. And here the Maimonides speak about laws of kings, and he says the following. It's in Mishneh Torah, Kings 6:8. He's talking about, he starts from during war, and then he says not even during war, even in regular times. Hear about his environmental concept of Maimonides. Even in times of war, have in your mind siege on ancient times, and so said Maimonides, fruit-bearing trees must never be cut down outside of the city. Fruit-bearing trees must never be cut down out of the city, nor do we block the irrigation water. causing the trees to dry. As it says, thou shalt not destroy her trees, Deuteronomy 20:19. Anyone who cuts down the tree receive a tree, anyone cuts down a fruit-bearing tree received lashes, flogging. This is the law. This is not only in times of siege, but anyone at any time who chopped down a fruit-bearing tree by a destructive purpose receives lashes. The tree may not be cut down if it is damaging other trees. The case when you can cut it, the tree may be cut down if it is damaging other trees or it is damaging another one field, or because the tree is more valuable for its wood than for its fruit. If it's more valuable for its wood than for its fruit, then the Torah enables it. All other cases, the Torah forbids to use the word wanton, unthinkful, unmindful, wanton destruction. You may not just go to the nature and destroy. But what's interesting is that Maimonides is trying to balance between the environmental logic and the financial logic, the business logic. But if you think you're going to sell it for the wood and it will be more profitable as wood than as for fruit, then you may do so. And this is kind of the what we are trying to do as well, to understand the balance between the different interests, between the economical interests, between the environmental interests, when the halacha gives us guidelines of what we can and what we cannot do within the realm of economical social relationship, within the economical social tissue. Okay. Now another case that's in Bava Batra 22b 23a. The Gemara relates, she tells a story, and the stories bring us to halacha. Rabbi Yosef, Rav Yosef, had small palm trees. He had a date orchard, and butchers would come and sit beneath them and perform their work there, do the butchery they need to do. So the crows would come there, eat the blood, and fly to the palm trees and damage the date palms. Okay, a situation, somebody else has a job which has pollution, in this case, carcass and blood and so on from the butchery, and it damages his fruit. So there is an environmental concern which is damaging someone else's goods, the property of someone else. Then there's a whole discussion. Rabbi Yosef said to the butchers, you got to remove. They're telling him, oh, sorry, we're just doing our work. The crows come because the crows come. He says, no, the crows come because of you. There's a whole debate. Let me conclude the story. It goes like half a page in the Talmud. Maimonides summarizes it up. So Maimonides summarizes the halacha in such cases, and he puts it right. Listen. Apply with regard to person who has established himself in a profession involving pollution, blood animal, and like that in his premises, and ravens or other birds of the type would come because of the blood. While doing so, they cause discomfort to the neighbor person and the blood of the feet, and they sit on the neighbor's tree and soil his produce, and they destroy his produce. If the neighbor take issue, is irritable or sick to that, then, or his produce are spoiled because of that, the person performing the task must cease or must separate the extent that the neighbor does not suffer from harm anymore. So this is an example, one of many, in which the jurisdiction of Judaism says the halachic principle is that a business has accountability, responsibility, which is environmental, and he is accountable. He's accountable for whatever damage environmental he might use to the business of other people. Those are but 3 out of many that can be found example about how Judaism regard the environmental matter, again, mainly on the halachic perspective, which halacha defines the relationship between a person and another. So the Jewish ethos is an ethos of consideration and concern to the common interest and to justice, which today would call environmental justice and distributive justice. And same as last week, we were greeting and blessing the people of the campaign of Defend Our Democracy and the anti-corruption week we had last week. This week, I bless and associate myself with all those who toil and endeavor and struggle for the wild cause the mineral, the vegetation, and the creatures who live in that. I'm calling us all to be informed, to be involved. I'm calling Shell Company to prove that she doesn't have anything to hide, and that we are within our rights to be vigilant, we are within our rights to be concerned, and if they would like us to trust them, then the burden of proof is upon them to show that they are transparent and honest. And naturally, I'm calling all the many governmental authorities who are dealing with it to do their job properly and open the eyes clearly and be very clear about the rights of the public. I'd like to conclude with some matters, one from the parashat of the weekly parasha. In this parasha, we see how Joseph is organizing the land of Egypt. And what he's doing, Joseph, is accumulating the land, is a concentration of the lands in the hands of the main regime of the pharaohs, and people are losing their lands, the standholds, the free small standing that they used to have, and then they are being moved. First, they are in debt to the state, they owe money to the state, then the state takes them and uses them as slaves. And this is the phase when Egypt is going through a pauperization. People become poor. You can check it, Genesis 49, and then they're being pushed to the cities, and the cities they have to do forced labor. This is the phase when the Israelites are like, hey, we're actually Semitic, let's go back to the land of Canaan. I'd like to, following Rabbi Arthur Waskow in his book, God Wrestling, it's a classic book of progressive and renewed Judaism, 1978, God Wrestling. He says the message is not just the prophecy about the 7 good years and the 7 bad years, but also the message of life, that if we plow in the field again and again and again, and there will be 7 good years, but there will also be 7 bad years. And the remedy for that is the Shemitah, the sabbatical year in which we are letting the land to rest, and we listen to the message of the land, what the land is telling us. That's Rabbi Arthur Waskow about the weekly parasha on that sense. And finally, regarding Hanukkah, that we spoke several times how the story of Hanukkah had shifted its core, have shifted its emphasis. And maybe today, when we're looking on the climate crisis and all the question of energy and our attempt to move away from fossils and our dependent in fossils, then maybe we can see the candle that should have been, that the energy was enough for one day, but actually it lasted for 8 days as a calling to find new way how to energize ourselves, not to wait from a miracle from above, but do in our wisdom, in our progress, in our commitment, in our responsibility, save fossil energy and save the planet. And Rabbi Waskow speaks about the vision of Zechariah that we read last Shabbat, the 2 olive branches who are miraculously, in a miracle way, in a magical way, they are feeding the menorah. They're feeding the menorah, the 2 olive branches in the vision of Zechariah, as a calling to stand in a covenant with the creation, with all creation, and taking responsibility. We are the stewards. It's in our custody. We foster the creation, humans, and the human elevation of the spirit, the holy deed of humans, and our covenant with all the species that share the planet with us. Then Hanukkah will become a new way of exercise, a new way of spiritual endeavor, when we are practicing the political activism, the environmental activism, the empathy, the emotional empathy, the environmental intelligence, how we are more intelligent, and how we have a learning curve about intelligent environmental intelligence, and a spirit which is nourished by awe to the all creation, the neshama, the soul, and the neshima, the breath that unites all the living creatures. That's my message in this regard, and I hope we will grow to that space. Surely we are going to stay vigilant and updated about what's going on in the wild course, and we are within our rights to be suspicious. Okay, we are absolutely within our rights to be suspicious. So we are, and we are not alone. There are many people who are working in this regard, but we cannot be indifferent. So that's my message for today. And thanks. I see there's been some messages, so I'll look at them in a second. And I want to move. Thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you. I want to move to the Kaddish, and we have people with us tonight. So first, I'd like to say that the funeral service to late Professor Michael Williams, husband of Merle and father of Jeff and Philip, took place in St. Francis of Assisi Anglican Church in Tuesday. It was a very beautiful and touching moment. And in the bulletin, there was the video. If you want, you can watch it. We mentioned it, I'm mentioning it again, the passing of Sandy Bean, former synagogue administrator of ours, and the passing of Esme Salomons at the age of 91. Esme was a participant in a Black Eagle project. And our communal memorial is Matilda Batat, mother of Avi Batat, Greth Castle, brother of Jeanette Cohen, Peggy Fishbach, mother of Yvonne Levy, Maurice Honigman, father of Marcia Levinson, Esther Judelson, mother of Fraser, Ben Cooney, father of Risa Salswick, Esther Mapper, aunt of Pearl Wasserman Bass, Jose Osorio, husband of Felicity Osorio, Santa Felman, mother of Naomi, Jeff, and Ruth, and Aviva, Soli Rubel, father of Maureen Katzer, Harry Silverman, father of Max Silverman, and Giselle Wolfson, the mother of Joe and Sam Turpin. This is our list, and I'm inviting you to mention further names if you have. Please, if there are other people who are mentioning more names, and I'd like, please do so. And I'm inviting Ruth, Naomi, and Aviva to lead us on the Kaddish. The Kaddish is on page 598. 598. Naomi, Ruth, Aviva, to you.
Ruth, unmute. Yitkadal
Yitkadash Shmei Rabbah,
Yalma
Alma
Dibarach
Berate,
V'yamlich
Bialich
Malchute
Malchute,
V'chayechon Uvyomechon Uv'chaye Dechol Beit Yisrael Ba'agala
Bagala
V'zman
Bisman
Kariv
Kariv,
V'imru
Amen.
Amen. Yehe Shmei
Shmei
Rabbah
Rabbah,
Yalam Ulalme Almaya
Yitarach,
Yitarach Yishtabach Yithar Yitromam Yitnaseh
Yitada,
Yitaleh
Yitalal,
Shmei
Kodosha,
Rihu
Leila Min Kol Birchata Shirata,
Tush
Bechata Bene Bemata,
Damiran
Damiran
Vimru
Amen.
Amen. Yehesh
Yehesh
Lamar
Lamar
Mishmaya V'chayim
Aleinu
Aleinu
V'chol
Yisrael
Yisrael,
V'imru
V'imru
Amen.
Amen.
Ose
Say
Shalom
Shalom,
Hu Yaseh Shalom Aleinu V'al Yisrael V'imru Amen.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, the sisters. It's great to have you with us. Thank you, Aviva. Thank you, Ruth. Thank you, Naomi. Thank you. And wish long life to all the mourners.
Thank you. Thank you.
You. Simon, do you want to go first?
I can. So on behalf of Mancom, Shabbat Shalom to everybody, and welcome back to our full Zoom service. I know for some people who'd much rather be in the shul, but this is the technical side worked well tonight. That can be the upside of this. We are on Zoom. Sorry, I can put myself onto spotlight. Hang on. We're on Zoom now until the beginning of January, and we're starting to, as the rabbi said, shut down. The last big event for our Beit Emanuel community is on Wednesday when the Sami project wraps up. For those of you who have donated, I just want to say a huge thank you to everybody who made sandwiches, who donated to the Christmas appeal. We've had a remarkable year. We've been able to feed over 300 people. And today, Marian, Estelle, and I finished putting together the Christmas hampers. People from both shuls have donated incredible stuff. Each hamper has food, has toiletries and a dignity set. There's Limud has donated bottles and mugs that we can give out to people, and they will all be given out at Temple Israel starting at about 9:30 on Wednesday morning. And then Sandwich Project 2 will be taking a break to start in the second week of January. So I wish everybody a safe, happy December, and we'll see you. We'll be here every week on Zoom. Otherwise, we'll see everybody hopefully back in shul and on Zoom in January. I think that if anyone else from Mancom has anything else that I didn't announce, or Rabbi, if you did, feel free to. Yeah.
Thanks. Shap. Okay, here's my additions. 1, Mazel Tov to Sybil and Max Silverman on 70 years of marriage. Outstanding achievement, and you put us all to shame. 70 years together. Really, really outstanding. You bring us all honor and nachas. I'd like to thank Kendra and the youth for joining us last Shabbat evening to the activity. I was showing the movie. We were talking with a good activity, with nice attendance, and will continue from strength to strength. And thank you, Kendra, and thank you, the youth last week. Just to be in the city. Tomorrow, 9:30, I'll be here, and those who didn't come finally, but I'm going away. And the lay readers will do the service both in the evening, both in the morning. Send my love to all. And as said, we are retreating from services, but we shall meet again in person in early January. And with that, I want to bless you and greet you and wish you a great Shabbat. And we'll conclude with Adon Olam 625. Ori, to you.
Adon Olam asher malach b'terem kol yitzir nivra Adon Olam liet nasa v'chefzo kol azay melech shemo nikra Adon Olam asher malach b'terem kol yitzir nivra liet nasa v'chefzo kol azay melech shemo nikra ואחרי ככלות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא אדון עולם והוא היה והוא הווה והוא יהיה בתפארה אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא לעת נשא וחפצו כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא והוא אחד ואין שני להמשילו להכבירה אדון עולם בלי ראשית בלי תכלית ולא העוז והמשרה אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא לעת נשא וחפצו כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא והוא אלי וחי גואלי בצור חבלי ביצר אדון עולם והוא ניסי ומנוס לי מנת כוסי ביום אקרא אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא לעת נשא וחפצו כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא בידו כדרוכי בעת תשען ויהיר אדון עולם ואמרוכי גביעתי אדון עליו ולא ירא אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא לעת נשא וחפצו כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא.
Shabbat shalom, everyone. Shabbat shalom. Thank you all. Thank you, Leonard. Thank you, Jess. Thank you, Rory.
Shabbat shalom.
Thank you, Green Katzef. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom, everybody. Shabbat shalom.
All right, Shabbat shalom, everyone. Bye.
Bye. Good Shabbat. Good week.
Shalom to the Wild Coast. Bye. Bye, Robin. Bye, Judy.
Shabbat shalom.
Sleep, Margaret. Shabbat shalom.
Cheers,
Shabbat
cheers.
shalom, son.
Pete, Marion, Shabbat
Shabbat
shalom.
shalom. Tessa, where are
Good
you?
weekend.
You're
Talk
gone.
soon.
Yeah. Shabbat shalom.
Bye.
What?
Hi,
It's so
Tessa. Why
dark
are you in the
there.
dark,
Are you
Tessa?
outside?
That's
Look like
very
you're in the bush,
dramatic
lucky girl.
light.
Yes.
Tessa, very dramatic light.
Are you at the Kruger Park, Tessa?
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what
I
it looks
wish,
like.
I
There's a
wish.
lion behind you.
Oh, she's just a very dramatic person. That's cool, Tessa. That's very cool.
My Shabbos candles.
Good Shabbos. Good Shabbos,
Good
everyone.
Shabbos.
Bye.
Bye all. A good week.
Bye.
Thanks, Liz. Marion.
Send us some rain. Send us some rain.
Okay.